The Arctic's rock star, the polar bear. You know them. The big white dudes of the Arctic. They're everywhere in pop culture. From those heart-tugging BBC documentaries to the feel-good Coca-Cola ads, polar bears are basically A-list celebrities. They're the ultimate poster child for that wild, frozen north. Think about it. On Frozen Planet, you're watching them strut their stuff, battling the elements, and just being downright majestic. Then, you flip on the TV, and bam! There they are, those cuddly Coca-Cola bears, bringing a little warmth to your living room. They've become more than just predators. They're like nature's teddy bears. The real deal, king of the ice. But let's cut to the chase. In the real world, these guys are the undisputed bosses. We're talking the biggest land carnivores on the planet. Adult males can stand a towering 9 feet tall and tip the scales at over 1,700 pounds. That's like a small car. That white fur? It's not just for looks. It's a masterclass in camouflage, blending perfectly with the icy landscape. And here's a fun fact. It's not actually white. Each hair is hollow and clear, trapping air for killer insulation. Talk about a natural winter coat. And those paws? They're like built-in snowshoes and paddles, perfect for navigating the slippery ice and swimming like an Olympic champ. Every inch of them is designed for survival in one of Earth's toughest spots. Built like a tank, giant strength, giant size, these polar bears are seriously huge. Males typically stretch 8 to 10.5 feet and weigh around 1,650 pounds. Before winter hits, they pack on the pounds, sometimes hitting 2,200 pounds. Basically, a walking mountain of muscle and fur. The ladies are smaller but still pack a punch. They're around 6 to 7 feet and weigh 650 to 1,000 pounds. With those powerful limbs, they can shatter ice or take down a walrus with a single swipe. If you've seen a nature doc, you know they can smash through ice like it's tissue paper. Nature's ultimate winter gear, surviving the Arctic cold, it's all about having the right gear. And polar bears are loaded. That white fur, it's actually hollow and clear. Those hairs act like tiny fiber optic cables, channeling sunlight to their black skin, which soaks up the heat. It's like a built-in solar heater. And don't forget the blubber. A thick layer of fat, 4 to 6 inches deep, acts like a down jacket, keeping them warm and buoyant. They can dive into the freezing ocean and stay toasty. Super senses top of the food chain. Polar bears aren't just big and strong. They're also super sensory ninjas. Smell. Their sense of smell is 7 times stronger than a dog's. They can sniff out a seal 20 miles away, even under thick ice. Sight. They've got eagle eyes, spotting prey even in the dark Arctic winter. Hearing. Those small ears can pick up the faintest sounds like a seal moving under the ice. These senses make them the ultimate hunters. The future's uncertain. For thousands of years, polar bears have ruled the Arctic. But now, climate change is throwing a wrench in the works. Melting ice is shrinking their hunting grounds. Can these incredible animals adapt? One thing's for sure. Polar bears are more than just icons. They're symbols of strength and the need to protect our planet. Survival secrets of the Arctic King. They don't just look good, they're badass hunters. We talked about how polar bears are basically rock stars of the Arctic, right? Well, they don't just pose for the cameras. They're stone-cold killers when it comes to hunting. These guys are the top dogs up north, and seals are their main course, like a polar bear's version of a juicy steak. But snagging a seal in the freezing Arctic? That ain't no picnic. The ultimate waiting game. Seal breathing hole ambush. Picture this. You're a seal popping up for a quick breath of fresh air. Bad move. Because lurking nearby is a polar bear, playing the ultimate waiting game. They know seals gotta come up for air, so they post up by these breathing holes, sometimes for hours. Here's a cool trick. They cover their black noses with their paws. Why? So they don't give themselves away against the white snow. When that seal finally pops up, bam! The bear unleashes a lightning-fast swipe, knocking the seal out cold or killing it instantly. Then, it's chow time. This ain't just luck. It's patience and focus honed over thousands of years. Silent stalking, sneaking up on sunbathing seals. When seals decide to catch some rays on the ice, polar bears switch to stealth mode. Those big, padded paws let them move like ninjas, quiet as a mouse. And the texture of their foot pads? It's like built-in non-slip shoes, perfect for icy surfaces. They use the terrain like a pro, creeping behind ice ridges and cracks. Then, boom, they burst into a sprint, catching the seal before it knows what hit it. Talk about speed and agility. Breaking into seal dens, no place is safe. Seals think they're safe in their hidden dens. Think again. Polar bears have a nose that's like a super-powered radar, sniffing out seal pups from 20 miles away, even under thick snow. Once they find a den, they rear up and smash through the ice and snow with a single bone-crushing blow. It might seem harsh, but in the Arctic, it's eat or be eaten. Adapting to the seasons, they're not just tough, they're smart. Life in the Arctic ain't just about muscle. It's about being adaptable. And polar bears, they're masters of adaptation. Winter, feast time. Winter's the prime time for hunting. The ice is thick, and seals are out and about. Polar bears are on the move, using every trick in the book to fill their bellies. The more they eat now, the more fat they store for the lean times. Summer, lean times. Then summer hits, and the ice starts to melt. Seals move to colder waters, making them harder to catch. So what do polar bears do? They get creative. They chow down on berries, seaweed, grass, bird eggs, and small critters. It ain't as good as seal, but every calorie counts. Fast-in mode, the walk-in hibernation trick. When food gets real scarce, polar bears go into a walk-in hibernation. They slow down their metabolism, move less, and live off their fat reserves. They're still semi-active though, ready to pounce when an opportunity arises. Survival in a changing world. Can they keep up? For thousands of years, polar bears have ruled the Arctic. But now, climate change is messing with their world. The ice is melting, and their hunting grounds are shrinking. Can these amazing animals keep up with the changes? Their story ain't over yet, and that's why we gotta pay attention. Their future is tied to ours. Polar bear love and mama bear hustle, it's a wild ride on the ice. So we've talked about how polar bears are the kings of the Arctic, right? Well, even kings gotta find love and raise families. And let me tell you, it's a wild scene up there. Love and battles on the ice, the ultimate Arctic match game. Every year, from March to June, the Arctic turns into a real-life dating show. Male polar bears, with noses like super-powered radar, go on the hunt for the ladies. And when two dudes have their eyes on the same prize, it's on. We're talking epic showdowns, body slams, and displays of pure, raw power. Only the toughest bears get to pass on their genes. It's like The Bachelor on ice, but with way more fur and way less roses. The miracle of birth, tiny cubs, big love. After about 8 months, mama bears find a cozy spot to dig a den. Think of it as their own little Arctic birthing suite. They give birth to 1 to 3 cubs, each about the size of a guinea pig. These little guys are blind and barely have any fur, so they're completely dependent on their mom. A mother's devotion, mama bear don't play. Inside the den, mama bear is like a walking, talking, fur-covered heater. Her milk is super rich, like a protein shake for polar bears, helping those cubs grow fast. Over the next few months, the cubs start exploring their den, taking their first wobbly steps. It's like watching a real-life nature documentary, right in front of you. After about 3 months, they venture outside. And that's when the real training begins. Mama bear teaches them everything. How to find food, how to spot danger. She's like their personal survival coach. They play games that teach them how to hunt, chasing each other and practicing their moves. It's like polar bear boot camp. These cubs stay with their moms for up to 2.5 years, learning the ropes of Arctic survival. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. Challenges in captivity, the Knut story. Now, raising polar bears in zoos? That's a whole different ballgame. Take Knut, for example. He was born in a Berlin zoo, and his mom abandoned him. So the zookeepers stepped in. It was a heartwarming story, but it also raised some tough questions. Can we really replicate a polar bear's natural upbringing? It's a tricky situation. The future of polar bear populations, we gotta protect these guys. Understanding how polar bears mate and raise their young is crucial for saving them. With climate change messing with their habitat, we need to know everything we can about their lives. It's about making sure these amazing animals have a future. Polar bears under pressure. Climate change ain't just a theory, it's a death sentence. We've talked about how tough polar bears are, right? Well, they're facing a challenge that's bigger than any they've ever seen. Climate change. And it's not some abstract problem. It's messing with their lives big time. The Arctic's hot flash, ice melting, bears suffering. The Arctic's heating up, like crazy fast. We're talking temperatures rising 2 to 3 times faster than the rest of the world. It's like the Arctic's having a permanent heat wave. And what's happening? The ice is melting, and it's melting fast. For polar bears, that ice is their everything. It's their home, their hunting ground, their playground. But it's disappearing. Over the last 25 years, the summer ice has shrunk by over 500,000 square miles. That's like losing an area bigger than Texas. No ice, no food. It's a starvation game. With less ice, polar bears can't hunt seals, their main food source. Seals need ice too, to rest, breed, and raise their pups. So when the ice goes, the seals go, and the polar bears are left hungry. Think about it. You're a polar bear and your grocery store just closed down. You gotta travel further, work harder, and you're still not finding enough food. It's like trying to find a parking spot in New York City during rush hour, but way more deadly. And it's not just theory. In places like Hudson Bay, Canada, polar bears are losing weight and having fewer cubs. They're basically starving. We're talking a 15% weight drop and a 20% decrease in baby bears. That's a huge red flag. Human versus bear, a dangerous collision. As the ice melts, polar bears are forced to come closer to our towns. They're hungry, desperate, and looking for anything to eat. That means they're raiding trash cans, breaking into houses, and getting into trouble. And when that happens, it's a disaster for everyone. People get scared, and sometimes they have to take drastic measures. We're talking about bears being scared off, or even killed. Like that tragic incident on Brevoort Island in August 2024, where 2 bears killed a radar technician. That's a stark reminder of how dangerous things are getting. We gotta act now, it's our problem too. The bottom line is, climate change is hitting polar bears hard. And it's not just their problem. It's our problem too. We need to do something about it. We need to cut down on pollution, protect their habitats, and find ways to live with these amazing animals. Polar bears under siege. It's not just climate change, it's us. We've been hammering home how climate change is wrecking polar bear lives, right? But it ain't the only problem. Turns out, we humans are throwing a whole bunch of other curveballs their way. Illegal hunting, old habits die hard, and bears die too. Back in the day, polar bears were hunted like crazy for their fur and parts. Even though it's illegal now, poachers are still at it. They're killing these majestic animals for profit, and it's making a bad situation even worse. Industrial development, we're invading their turf. We want the oil and gas under the Arctic, and that means building platforms and pipelines. But all that noise and light? It's messing with the polar bears' lives, disrupting their breeding and hunting. And if there's an oil spill? Forget about it. It's a toxic disaster for the bears and their food. Environmental pollution, invisible killers. We're dumping chemicals into the environment, and they're ending up in the Arctic. These pollutants build up in the seals that polar bears eat, and then they build up in the bears themselves. It's like a slow poison messing with their brains, their immune systems, and their ability to have cubs. In some places, the levels are so high, it's a death sentence. We gotta get our act together. It's on us. So, yeah, climate change is a massive problem. But we're also making things worse with illegal hunting, industrial development, and pollution. We need to step up and fix this. A ray of hope. We're not giving up on the polar bears. It's not all doom and gloom. People are waking up and taking action to save these amazing animals. The 1973 agreement, a big step forward. Back in '73, the US, Canada, Denmark, Norway, and the Soviet Union got together and signed a deal to protect polar bears. They agreed to limit hunting and work together on research. It was a huge win, hunting regulations, balancing culture and conservation. Countries are cracking down on illegal hunting and setting strict quotas. In Canada, Indigenous communities are allowed to hunt, but it's carefully managed to make sure it's sustainable. It's about respecting traditions while protecting the bears. Sanctuaries in the snow, giving bears a safe space. We're setting up protected areas in the Arctic where polar bears can live without being disturbed. Places like Norway's Svalbard archipelago are crucial habitats, and they're being protected. Science to the rescue, tracking and studying the bears. Scientists are using all sorts of cool tech to track polar bears and learn about their lives. Satellite tracking, drones, snow tracking, it's like CSI Arctic. This data helps us figure out how to protect them better. We can make a difference. It's not too late. Polar bears are facing some serious challenges, but we're not giving up on them. With global cooperation and smart conservation efforts, we can give these iconic animals a fighting chance. You want to save the polar bears? Here's how you do it. We've laid it all out. Polar bears are facing a tough time, and it's mostly our fault. But here's the good news. We can fix this. It ain't just up to the big shots. We all gotta pitch in. Personal actions, small changes, big wins. Cut the power suckers, turn off lights, unplug stuff, get energy-efficient appliances. It's like saving money and saving the planet at the same time. Ditch the gas guzzlers. Take the bus, bike, walk, carpool. Every little bit helps. Community engagement. Get your crew involved. Teach the next gen. Schools should be teaching kids about polar bears and climate change. It's their future, after all. Throw a party for the planet. Organize events, talks, recycling drives. Get your neighbors on board. Blast it on social media. Share the facts. Spread the word. Get people fired up. Government initiatives. Time to step up. Crack down on poachers. Stiff penalties for anyone messing with polar bears. Go green, baby. Invest in solar, wind, and other clean energy. Ditch the fossil fuels. Team up with the world. Work with other countries to tackle climate change. We're all in this together. The polar bear more than just a cute face. Let's be real. Polar bears are awesome. They're the kings of the Arctic, and they're facing a crisis. Built tough, these giants are built for the ice, with thick fur, blubber, and giant paws. Survival skills. They're master hunters, but climate change is making it harder to find food. Mama bears rock. They raise their cubs in the toughest conditions. Under attack. Climate change, hunting, pollution. They're facing it all. We gotta step up, it's our responsibility. 1973 agreement. A good start, but we need more. Protected areas. Giving polar bears a safe haven. Science to the rescue. Tracking, studying, and understanding the bears. What can you do? Everything. Live green. Reduce your footprint. Spread the word. Educate others. Support the cause. Donate. Volunteer. Get involved. Our shared future. It's up to us. The polar bear's fate is our fate. If we don't fix this, we're all in trouble. Let's make sure these amazing animals have a future.